I worked for 17 years as a nurse in psychiatric containment units. 17 years holding the hands of people whom society had forgotten, whom medicine had labeled, whom their families had abandoned. I saw outbursts, crises, despair. But I also saw things that no manual explains. Things that patients see when they stop screaming, when their eyes are fixed on nothing, when their mouths stop trembling and they whisper a single phrase, "She's here." My name is Daniela, I am 43 years old, and today I will tell 7 stories that forever changed the way I see the line between madness and lucidity, between delirium and truth. The 7th story happened to me. And after it, I was never the same again. If you're feeling this way with me right now, stop everything, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below about where you're listening from and what time it is there, because the next story will change everything forever. It was a Tuesday in August, 2 in the morning, and the patient in room 7 wouldn't stop screaming. He had been admitted 3 days earlier with a diagnosis of severe paranoid schizophrenia. 26 years old, thin, sunken eyes, scratches on his arms from scratching so much. His name was Raphael. The family had requested his hospitalization because he had locked his mother out of the house, saying she was a demon in disguise. When the police arrived, he was sitting on the kitchen floor, crying, apologizing to someone no one could see. On the first night, Raphael was quiet. Medicated, of course, but quiet. On the second night, he started talking to himself. Loose, nonsensical phrases. "She wants to show me," she said. "I need to remember." "I don't want to remember." We tried to calm him down, but he shook his head, as if he were hearing another voice louder than ours. On the third night, he started screaming. I entered his room along with the nursing technician, a strong young man named Julio. Raphael was standing in the corner of the room, leaning against the wall, arms pressed against his body, eyes wide and staring at the ceiling. He was sweating profusely. His nightgown was soaked. The smell was pure panic. I approached slowly, hands open, voice low. "Raphael, look at me. Everything's all right. You're safe here." He didn't look. He kept looking up, at the left corner of the ceiling, where there was nothing but peeling white paint. "She's here," he said. His voice was a whisper. "Who's there, Raphael?" "My sister." I looked at Julio. He nodded, like, let him speak. I knew Raphael didn't have a sister. His file clearly stated, only child, widowed mother, no other close relatives. "Your sister," I repeated, keeping my tone calm. She died. Before I was born. My mother never told me. She's saying that my mother had her when she was 16. That my grandfather beat my mother so badly that she fell down the stairs. The baby died in her womb. My mother never spoke. Never. But she's here. She's saying that she forgives me. I felt a shiver run down the back of my neck. Because his voice had changed. It was no longer the voice of someone delirious. It was the voice of someone hearing something very real, very heavy, and not knowing what to do with it. "Raphael, do you want me to call your mother?" He finally looked at me. His eyes were full of tears. "She already knows. She's awake now. She's crying." I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought it was part of the delirium. We increased the medication, Raphael fell asleep, and the night passed. But in the morning, at 7, his mother appeared at reception. She hadn't been called. She simply showed up. She went into the room, sat in the chair next to her son's bed, and cried for 40 minutes without stopping. When she left, she pulled me by the arm in the hallway. "Did he say anything about a girl?" My heart raced. He spoke of a sister. The mother covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes turned red instantly. "I never told anyone. Never. Not even his father. I was 16 years old. My father threw me down the stairs. I lost the baby. It was a girl. I was going to name her Laura. How did he find out?" I didn't know what to answer. To this day, I still don't know. But I still had no idea what was to come. The second case that affected me was that of a patient named Claudia. 51 years old, hospitalized with severe bipolar disorder and recurrent psychotic episodes. She had attempted suicide twice. The family was exhausted. Claudia would spend entire days in silence, staring at the wall, and suddenly explode, breaking whatever she found in front of her. She was unpredictable. Dangerous, according to the report. But with me, she was never violent. She was sad. Deeply sad. I used to look after her in the afternoon. She liked to sit near the window, even though it only overlooked an inner courtyard with a dry tree and a broken bench. One day, she called me. "Daniela, do you believe in signs?" I sat on the edge of her bed. What kind of signal? Those who have already died. Do you think they can talk to us? I didn't want to lie, but I also didn't want to fuel delusions. I think we feel the people we loved. In some way. She nodded slowly, as if testing the idea in her head. My son died 3 years ago. Motorcycle accident. He was 22. I couldn't go to the funeral. I was hospitalized. When I found out, I was already too drugged to feel anything. I never said goodbye to him. Her voice broke. I held her hand. "I'm so sorry, Claudia. But he came here." I froze. Like this? 2 nights ago. I woke up, and he was sitting there. She pointed to the blue plastic chair in the corner of the room. He had his helmet in his hand. Smiling. He said, "Mom, stop suffering. I'm okay. I'm with Grandpa. My father died when I was 9 years old. My son never even met him. But he said he's with Grandpa." I wanted to believe it was a dream. A side effect of the medication. But Claudia wasn't taking antipsychotics that week. The psychiatrist had discontinued them because she was stable. "Did you tell anyone?" "Just for you." She never had another episode after that day. 2 weeks later, she was discharged. I ran into her 6 months later on the street, by chance, near a bakery. She was fine. Back at work. Smiling. "Does he still show up?" I asked. "No. But I don't need to anymore. I know he's okay." But nothing prepared me for what I myself was about to experience. The third story is about a man named Osvaldo. He was 68 years old and was hospitalized after being found naked in the middle of the street, shouting that the world was going to end. Initial diagnosis: alcohol withdrawal-induced psychosis. He had been drinking for 30 years. His liver was damaged. His brain, too. When he arrived, he was aggressive, confused, delirious. We had to physically restrain him. He was spitting, cursing, and crying. But on the 5th day, something changed. Osvaldo woke up calm. Too calm. He asked to take a shower, asked to get a haircut, asked to call his son. His behavior was so different that the psychiatrist thought he was entering a deep depression, which is common after episodes. But Osvaldo didn't seem depressed. He seemed light. Relieved. I went to take his nighttime medication to him. He was sitting on the bed, hands in his lap, looking out the window. The moon was full. You could see it perfectly. "Osvaldo, is everything all right?" He looked at me and smiled. It was the first smile I'd ever seen him smile. "Daniela, I saw my wife." "Did you call her?" "No. She died 10 years ago. But she came here. Last night. She sat here next to me, ran her hand over my face, and said, 'Osvaldo, that's enough. You've suffered enough. Stop drinking. Come home when the time is right, but not now. You still have things to do.' And I smelled her. That cheap perfume she used to wear. That floral one, you know. I smelled it. His eyes filled with tears. I spent 10 years drinking because I couldn't stand being without her. But she came and told me I need to stop. And I will stop. I promised her. Osvaldo was discharged 3 weeks later. He joined an Alcoholics Anonymous group. I know because he sent me a letter 6 months later, thanking me. He wrote, "I haven't drunk another drop. She gave me strength. And I will see her again, but only when the time is right." I still keep that letter to this day. And I still had no idea what was in store for me. The fourth story involves a child. It affected me in a way I'd never felt before. Her name was Sophia. 8 years old. She was hospitalized because she was having severe auditory hallucinations and self-destructive behavior. She was pulling out her own hair, biting herself, scratching herself. Her parents were desperate. No medication worked. No therapist could reach her. Sophia didn't speak. She just stared at the floor and cried. I was responsible for her on the night shift. It was a huge responsibility. A child in a psychiatric unit is rare. And delicate. Very delicate. On the first night, Sophia didn't sleep. She sat on the bed, hugging her knees, looking at the door. I went in every hour to check on her. Always the same position. On the second night, I sat on the floor of her room. "Sophia, can you tell me what's scaring you?" She didn't answer. But after about 5 minutes, she whispered. "He wants me to go with him." "Who, Sophia?" "The boy." "Which boy?" "The boy who used to live in my house." I felt a chill down my spine. "How do you know a boy lived there?" "He told me. He said he died in my room. That he fell out the window. He keeps calling me. He says I have to go with him." I didn't know if it was delirium or if Sophia had heard some story and created a narrative. But her seriousness was frightening. She didn't seem to be making it up. She seemed to be reporting it. The next day, I spoke with her mother. I asked if she knew any stories about the house. Her mother turned pale. "How did you know?" "Did you find out what?" "We bought the house 2 years ago. The real estate agent didn't tell us. But the neighbors told us later. A 9-year-old boy fell from the window of the room that Sophia now owns. It was an accident. He was playing, climbed onto the windowsill, lost his balance. He died instantly. That was in 2015. But we never told Sophia. She doesn't even know." I ran out of breath. I called the psychiatrist. I called the therapist. We did an intervention with the family. We explained to Sophia that the boy didn't want to hurt her. That he was confused. That he needed to leave, but that she didn't need to go with him. We even did a kind of symbolic ritual, with the help of a psychologist who worked with childhood trauma. Sophia drew the boy, drew a window, and we asked her to imagine him leaving through the window, but this time flying, going to a safe place. 2 weeks later, Sophia was discharged. She started talking again. She started playing again. Her mother called me a month later, crying with gratitude. Sophia never saw the boy again. But what I was about to experience was still to come. The fifth story is the strangest of all. And it was witnessed by 3 people at the same time, me, a nursing assistant named Renata, and the on-call doctor, Dr. Sergio. This was on a Saturday morning, around 4 o'clock. The unit was quiet. We had 7 patients admitted. One of them was a 74-year-old man named Antonio. He had advanced dementia. He no longer recognized anyone. He didn't speak. He spent the whole day lying down, staring at the ceiling. That night, Antonio began to moan. A low, continuous moan, as if he were in pain. We went to check on him. He was sweating. We gave him medicine, changed his clothes, adjusted him in bed. But the moaning continued. Suddenly, he stopped. He was completely silent. And then, he sat up in bed. This was already strange, because Antonio didn't have the muscle strength to sit up on his own. We always had to help him. But he sat down. By himself. And looked at the door. And then, we saw. I saw it. Renata saw it. Dr. Sergio saw it. A light. A soft, white light that entered through the bedroom door and stopped in the middle of the space. It wasn't a flashlight. It wasn't a reflection of anything. It was a light that seemed to come from within itself. And Antonio smiled. He smiled like I had never seen anyone smile before. A huge smile, like a child's, of pure happiness. And he spoke. Maria. Maria was his wife's name. She had died 5 years earlier. He stretched out his arms, as if he wanted to embrace someone. The light remained there for about 10 seconds. And then, it disappeared. Antonio lay down again, closed his eyes, and died. We were paralyzed. Nobody said anything for about 2 minutes. Until Dr. Sergio broke the silence. Did you see what I saw? Renata was trembling. I saw it. I saw the light. All I could do was nod. We never spoke about it openly again. But we know. We saw it. And it wasn't a collective hallucination. It was real. And I didn't know that it would soon be my turn. The sixth story involved a patient named Beatriz. She was 39 years old and had been hospitalized after a suicide attempt by overdosing on medication. She had lost her 6-year-old daughter to leukemia 2 years prior. Since then, Beatriz had fallen into a deep depression. She didn't leave the house. She didn't work. She didn't eat properly. Her husband tried to help, but he was also devastated. In the end, he filed for divorce. Beatriz gave up. When she arrived at the unit, she was apathetic. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She didn't react. It was as if she had already died, but her body was still functioning. We tried everything. Medication, therapy, support groups. Nothing worked. Until one night, Beatriz woke up screaming. It wasn't a scream of despair. It was a scream of joy. I ran to her room. She was sitting on the bed, laughing and crying at the same time. She was here. She was here. Who, Beatriz? My daughter. My Nina. She was here, Daniela. She was by my bedside. She was wearing that pink dress she loved. She was smiling. She said, "Mommy, I'm okay. I'm not sick anymore. I'm playing every day. And Grandma is with me. My mother died when I was 15. Nina never met her. But she said Grandma is with her." Beatriz hugged me and cried on my shoulder for half an hour. But it wasn't a cry of sadness. It was a cry of relief. Of hope. Of knowing that her daughter was okay. She was discharged a week later. She told me, before she left, "I'm not going to give up anymore. Because I know she's waiting for me. But she wants me to live. She said so. And I will live. For her." Beatriz went back to work. She started smiling again. I know because she sent me a message at Christmas, 2 years later. She wrote, "Thank you for not thinking I was crazy. I saw my daughter. And that saved me. But what happened to me, that changed everything. I was always skeptical. I believed in science, in psychology, in neurology. I thought these experiences were the product of trauma, medication, an intense desire to reunite with loved ones. I respected it. I was supportive. But deep down, I thought it was all in their heads. Until the day it happened to me. It was a Thursday. I was in my 16th year of work. I had just finished a tough shift. 3 restraints, an attempted escape, a patient who had a seizure. I was exhausted. Physically and emotionally exhausted. When I got home, it was almost midnight. I took a shower, ate some bread and butter, and went to bed. I fell asleep quickly. But in the middle of the night, I woke up. I don't know what time it was. I only know that I woke up because I felt a presence in the room. It wasn't a feeling of fear. It was a feeling of calm. Of peace. I opened my eyes, and I saw my grandmother. My grandmother died when I was 17. It had been 26 years. I loved her more than anything. She raised me. My mother worked all day, and my grandmother stayed with me. She taught me to cook, to sew, to pray. When she died of a heart attack, I fell into a depression. I thought I would never recover. But I did recover. I became a nurse because of her. She always said I had a knack for taking care of people. And there she was. Sitting on the edge of my bed. Wearing that flowery dress she wore on Sundays. Her white hair tied up in a bun. Smiling. I wasn't afraid. I just looked at her. And she looked at me. And she said, "Daughter, you are tired." Her voice. It was her voice. Exactly as I remembered it. "Grandma," I whispered. "You're doing a wonderful job. You're helping so many people. But you need to rest. You need to take care of yourself too. Otherwise, you'll get sick." I felt the tears streaming down my face. "I miss you so much, Grandma." "I know. I feel it too. But I'm always with you. I see you every day. I see you taking care of those people. I see you holding their hands when no one else wants to. And I'm so proud of you." I started to cry. Really cry. That kind of cry that comes from deep inside, that hurts, that heals. "Grandma, I'm so afraid of dying." She took my hand. I felt it. I felt her hand. Warm. Real. "Don't be afraid. I promise you. Don't be afraid. When your time comes, I'll be waiting for you. And it will be beautiful. You'll see. It's not the end. It's the beginning." And then she disappeared. But the room still smelled of that scent. The scent of the soap she used. The lavender one. I could smell it. I got out of bed, walked around the room, looking for where the scent was coming from. There was nothing there. No soap. No perfume. But the scent was still there. I sat on the floor and cried until my throat hurt. But it wasn't crying from sadness. It was crying from gratitude. From certainty. From knowing that she was there. That she had always been there. I called into work the next day and asked for a week off. I needed to process it. I needed to understand. I read everything I could about near-death experiences, about deathbed visions, about contact with deceased loved ones. I read about Dr. Raymond Moody, who documented thousands of cases. I read about Pim van Lommel, who studied patients who had cardiac arrest and reported out-of-body experiences. I read about terminal lucidity, that phenomenon in which people with advanced dementia regain full consciousness minutes before dying, as if the veil were lifted for an instant. And I understood. I understood that what I always thought was delusion, hallucination, wishful thinking, perhaps wasn't. Perhaps it was real. Perhaps death isn't the end. Perhaps it's just a passage. And perhaps those we love are truly waiting for us on the other side. I went back to work a week later. But I was never the same nurse again. I started listening to my patients differently. When they said they saw someone, I didn't doubt them. I asked, "What is that person saying to you?" When they described the light, I asked, "How did you feel?" And you know what I realized? They all, every single one, described the same thing. Peace. Love. The feeling of coming home. I worked another year in that unit. Then, I requested a transfer to palliative care. Because I wanted to be present in people's final moments. I wanted to hold their hands. I wanted to say, don't be afraid. I know someone is waiting for you. And you know what's incredible? Almost all of my patients, in their final days, report the same thing. They see someone. Mother, father, brother, son, friend. Someone who has already died. And they all say the same thing, don't be afraid. It's beautiful. Today, at 43 years old, after witnessing the deaths of more than 200 people, I can say one thing with absolute certainty: I am no longer afraid of dying. I don't just believe there is something after. I know. I've seen it. I've felt it. I've heard it. And not just once. Dozens of times. And all of them showed me the same truth: death is not the end. It's just the door to another place. A place where there is no pain, no fear, no loneliness. My grandmother told me she would be waiting for me. And I believe her. I know that when my time comes, I will open my eyes and she will be there, with that smile, in that flowery dress, saying, "Welcome, daughter. You did a beautiful job. Now come and rest." And I will go. Without fear. Without doubt. Because I know that death is only the beginning of another journey. And this journey is beautiful. If you've made it this far, if you felt what I felt reliving these stories, leave a comment telling me, have you ever had a similar experience? Have you ever felt the presence of someone who has passed away? I read all the comments. And I want to know. Because maybe, together, we can overcome this fear that humanity has carried for so long. The fear of death. Because death is not the end. It never was. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for believing. And remember, when someone you love leaves, don't think you've lost them. Think that you've gained an angel. An angel who is protecting you, guiding you, waiting for you. And that one day, you will meet again. I promise. It's going to be beautiful.